Sanitation is a fascinating subject because it can be approached from so many different angles. What is very clear is that there's a lot of contamination because of bad recycling of human waste. Secondly, it's an opportunity lost because it is a source of energy and it can be used to refurbish our energy resources. That said, you see, there's also a role for social scientists to look at this problem, and I want to illustrate how that happens. Let's consider three levels. First, at the macro level, governments have to decide about regulation. For instance, in many parts of the world, we don't have regulation on what constitutes safe compost made from human waste. We don't know what that should be yet. And we need the scientists to give us more information, and then the governments have to create this regulation so that we can create a market for compost made from waste, okay, especially human waste. The second thing at the macro level is the policy. How do you allocate your funds between urban areas, rural areas, and how much for creating awareness, how much for construction, how much for your partners to go and provide toilets? This is not very clear at all, how these resource allocations should be decided. Then secondly, at the micro level, at the individual household level, most of the people without toilets are poor. The poor do not want to invest in toilets. They want to invest in other things, either make investments in things like education that they see as an asset that can increase their income generation capacity in the long run, or commodities that give them instant gratification, like seeing a movie or drinking alcohol. So the connection between toilet and income generation capacity is not very clear. So they have to be convinced, because no government in any developing country has the funds to provide free toilets to all of its poor citizens. So as everybody has to also put something on the table, including the poor themselves. So that's one problem. How do you do that? The second thing is, how do you make them adopt the toilet as an innovation? Because for people who haven't used toilets before, a toilet is an innovation that must be adopted. How do you make them do it? Okay, so these are the two burning questions, and there's a lot that management science, decision science, decision making, behavioral studies, they can all help us do research on this to try to shape different kinds of solutions. For example, Rakesh talked about a urine diversion toilet. Now, people might say, hey, this is a different type of toilet. I have to move. I have to do one function in one receptacle and another in another receptacle. Why? Why should I do it? Why can't I have a flush and forget toilet? And who is going to use my urine? I don't want it all to be collected. So you see, to find the solution, it's not just technology. You have to also ensure efficient adoption, and that's not very clear exactly how the pieces of the puzzle fit together. Then there is a meso level, that is the sector as such. The government can't make toilets, the poor people don't have the money to put the toilets. Okay, then maybe you can set up small businesses in the sanitation field. Maybe you can get large firms to do corporate philanthropy. Maybe you can get some do-gooders, you see, to raise funds and build a few toilets. So this is all at the meso level, and for that the main problem is, how do you get to find the right design, okay, for the right, first of all, how do you get the information? How do these social enterprises, companies know what to build? Whom do they turn to? There's an information problem. The second thing is, at least for the companies, they might have funds, but for people who want to make a positive change, how do they get the funds? So all these are challenges that companies know how to tackle. But other people, other entities like NGOs or just citizens group, they don't know all this. And so there's a lot of things going on, and academics as economists, sociologists, management scientists, they can all contribute to shaping the solution with the technical people, because it's not just technology that's going to solve the problem, it's also the adoption. The adoption must be ensured, and then the replication. For that, you need a business model. Who's going to pay for the toilets? So that's why it's very interesting that we are having this discussion in Brunel University with people from different schools. And Jeffrey mentioned an innovation, a contest that solved the problem in the UK. Actually, contests are now taking place in the field of sanitation at various levels. Bill Gates, for example, is doing a lot for sanitation, generating innovation through contests. But many of the toilets that they are coming up with, they are very costly. They are not low cost. So they are costly toilets for the poor. Now, there's some sort of a mismatch there. And therefore, you see, we academics, and now Brunel is also participating in this, we are thinking of asking students, not companies, students, academics, architects, to come up with a low-cost toilet design that can be actually adopted by a potential entrepreneur who is not very skilled, who doesn't have a lot of education or engineering knowledge, but who can build it. So in this, you see, the Brunel School of Design is participating to actually identify potential winners or identify designs that cannot be implemented. And we have another international panel of academics to see if the technical design is okay and if the business plan that accompanies the technical design is robust. And this is called the Sanitation Innovation Design Contest of 2013. Okay.